Hello, everyone. Hank Gross here from MidHudsonNews.com, a special Mid-Hudson News podcast for this weekend. I'm speaking with Richard Desiderio, who is a Newburgh School District teacher who has been having problems with the district for years. Most recently, he's been suspended with pay this entire school year that just ended on a number of charges. There was a series of hearings with a hearing officer who recommended that he be terminated. The school board in a special meeting Thursday night had him on the agenda for that, and he's with us in the studio today. He feels that he was wronged on many, many levels. So, Mr. D, would you be kind enough to start from the beginning? Why do you think you were targeted all along?
I believe I was targeted all along, and we are now close to the 10-year anniversary of the beginning of that targeting because I spoke up about malfeasance as it pertains to the attendance, most specifically to our athletes, and that was just about 2016 to the day when I sat down with board members and administrators and went through all of the attendance issues that I found, attendance being manipulated, attendance being destroyed. Again, it's 8 years ago to the day when I sat down with them, and it was the beginning of 8 years of very, very difficult situations, and but that's where it began.
And this, when you talk about attendance, we're talking about athletes at the high school.
At NFA. I was working at NFA in 2016. I had athletes in my class that were participating ineligibly in state championships. They were very important races and championship races, again, at the state level, where first of all, for them to be there, they've denied any other kid in the section of being there. So that's a big thing. And then if they're racing and they win the championship, they're denying other kids that opportunity. I love my kids and I don't want to hurt them, but we have to teach them how to follow the rules. And I reported on a Friday, much like today, that we had kids participating clearly inelligibly as per our policies, and that's what began this. It was really me doing the right thing. After I reported it, I sat down with him. I didn't know who Hank Gross was. I didn't know anybody in the media. I didn't know the address to State Ed. I didn't know David Hoovler. I just wanted to fix what was clearly wrong. No one has ever said that I was wrong or that, it wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal. It remains a big deal. But I brought it to the district. I didn't do anything to hurt them. I wanted to fix it internally, and that's not what happened. I trusted them, and it was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life.
So you were, in essence, a whistleblower.
Absolutely.
And you were supported in that regard up to a point, and then certain people in the district basically made an about face. Is that correct?
I don't know that I was ever actually supported. They sat down with me. They didn't say I was wrong, but I don't know that I was supported per se. They've tried to fire me now 5 different times. So no, I really was never supported. Sometimes by individuals, be it on the board or whatever, but as far as the whole district, I was never supported. They started trying to fire me not too long after I brought forth the information.
So whatever happened to the whistleblower status?
Well, the whistleblower status internally, we can certainly talk about, because that's a big part of why I'm sitting here today. Externally, David Hoovler never declared me to be a whistleblower. No one officially ever came out and said that I was a whistleblower, even though everybody knows that I'm a whistleblower. Finally, in September of last year, board president Darren Stridiron attempted to do it in an official capacity and was denied.
So after that, other issues arose.
You're talking about back to 2017, 2016? Yes. They've never stopped. I've received somewhere between 40 and 50 letters of potential consequences, write-ups, bad observations. I've been under constant attack since 2016, culminating up with this most recent episode that I had to endure. I've never stepped inside of a school this year. I never was in front of kids this year. I spent the whole year at home, getting paid, but at home. So it continues up till present day.
And this past year, as I understand it, had to do with the way you interacted with young kids. You had what, second grade kids?
Not this year. The last year I taught, I had kindergarten and first grade.
And were they special needs kids?
They were self-contained special education children. Self-contained means there's only special ed kids in the class. It's the difference would be an integrated co-taught class where there are what we call mainstream kids and special ed kids mixed together. I taught self-contained my last 3 years at my school, Horizons, and the most recent year was kindergartners and first graders self-contained. I hate using the word high or low. It's just the kids with the most needs, I would describe it. They struggle academically and socially, but that doesn't mean they lack intelligence or they aren't capable. It just takes a special person or a special teacher to figure out how to get to it. And that's what I did.
And what happened in the last year of your teaching these children?
In May of 2023, I was brought down to Human Resources and asked not specific questions, but something about a kid being on my lap or something along those lines, because a woman did an observation and went back and said that I had a girl in my lap. And it was not true. I wasn't quite sure what she was even talking about. But I was brought down, asked kind of general questions, sent back to work, finished out the school year, through May and June. And then in September 23, I was brought down and given the opportunity to either be put on a leave where it could be, the leave could go on forever and it wouldn't be brought to the Board of Ed, it wouldn't be made public, or I could be suspended pending investigation and it would be brought to the board, it would be made public, and I chose to be suspended. I wanted everything out in the open. I've learned how things work, and I don't want anything done behind closed doors. I want the public to know exactly what's happening. So that's what I chose. I was suspended for the entire year while they went through the machinations of whatever they did. Now they had this charge that they never spoke to me about. Again, they talked to me in general. And then all of a sudden they said that they found all of these videos going back to 2021, 2022 that they didn't know existed, which was a lie because we have the emails where they talked about it in September of 2023.
Now, who shot these videos?
They were security cameras, I guess.
Okay.
They were kept on a USB stick, I believe, by the principal at the time. I'm unsure of exactly how the video was maintained. We have a video policy that says that the video has to be maintained in its original form. I'm not sure that happened. I really doesn't matter to me. But it was shot by security video because it was out on all of it was out on a playground, at recess or free time or whatever.
Now, I looked at one of the videos.
Yes.
And a number of the little kids came up to you and appeared to want some validation, perhaps with a hug. You picked up a couple of the kids in your lap and like a parent would do. And then they got up and ran away happy as could be.
Yes.
But now the school board at the school district decides that's no good and they want to get rid of you.
Correct. If you pull the string and go all the way back to, they're pointing to these directives I got in 2018 and 2021, which we told the hearing officer there were two of those directives that I know I never got, and I don't remember getting. I didn't say I didn't get the other one, but I don't remember getting it. They were these directives. There's nothing. A principal can write a directive, an administrator can write a directive, but based on, I got a call from a parent. And so I'm writing this directive. And this all began when the new principal started at Horizons in 2018, Robert Glowacki. He gave me a directive a week into the school year. It never stopped. So I got such a voluminous amount of information for me to remember a directive I got 3 years ago is impossible because I got so many of them. Most people don't get any in their entire teaching career. I had 50 in the last, 7 years. But again, if you go all the way back, there was no I never got due process. A parent called me and told me this. They could make that up, that they don't have to answer for that. They're not held to any standards. So then the hearing commissioner counting or relying on the word of a principal that says that he wrote something 4 years ago. It's suspect at best. But yes, I have the videos. I will be I've already made one public. I'll be making them all public. What they show, as far as I can tell, and anybody that's seen them can tell, including a former teacher and former board member that testified, is a man that adores his students, whose students adore him, who I work in Newburgh, New York. It's a city with a fatherless epidemic. I have more kids that don't have dad at home than do. They're special needs children who have they're human beings. They seek validation. They love me. They all thrive under my care. This is not about, pedagogy, that I didn't teach them. I did teach them. My final year teaching, I had 2 kids in my self-contained class that were, by their parents' own admission, terrors the year before, spent half the year in the principal's office. I took those 2 kids. This past school year, they graduated, for lack of a better term, out of self-contained and into an ICT program. Literally, I was pulling off miracles. So this is not about my teaching. This is not about parents complaining. They never spoke to any parents. This is not about kids complaining. You see the videos. And you made me feel good when you said, I see them coming up to you, seeking validation, seeking hugs. That's what kids do. So what am I supposed to do? Repel them and tell them, no, I can't. I'm a dad. I'm an empathetic human being. I love what I do. I love my kids. You give them a hug. You make sure it's done properly. I did this. These videos are out on a playground. You never once see me walk up to any of the kids. They all come up to me.
You were sitting at the time.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was sitting. They're seeking affection. They don't get it from dad. It doesn't mean they come from bad families. Most of these families are fantastic. But if there's no dad there and they're not getting that, they're going to seek it. And you have to figure out a way to make them feel loved. Again, they're special needs kids. You have to make them feel loved. You have to make them feel validated. You have to make them feel like they're capable, that you believe in them. And that's what I did. And they're trying to end my career, which in essence ends my life. I can't get another job. This has all been done. It's corruption from start to finish. I've got, now that we're 8 years into this, I've got 8 years of anecdotal evidence of the corruption.
What's the total number of years you've taught?
22, all together.
Uh-huh.
I can't retire right now. I wish I could. Not that I want to leave Newburgh, but it's obviously an impossible situation. But I'm in they've boxed me into a really, really untenable position.
Now, so these allegations about inappropriate behavior with little kids came to a head when the case was brought to a hearing officer.
Correct.
And there were a series of hearings with testimony. And just
correct.
A week or so ago, the hearing officer ruled that you were wrong and should be terminated.
That's correct.
Right? Have you heard anything yet about that?
I haven't heard anything, no. It was on the agenda last night. I have not heard any follow-up. The hearing officer, the district and my lawyer, union lawyer, received the judgment on June 20th. By law, the district has 15 days to accept the judgment. So 15 days from June 20th would be July 5th. But it was brought up at a special meeting last night, June 27th. I don't know. There's a new board being sat in Newburgh on July 2nd, so it could have been done then. I'm not sure the reason they forced it last night. I don't know.
Now, with the new board coming in, is it possible that the new board can reverse the decision if they, in fact, did vote to remove you?
Yes, they could rescind it. What I'm going to make a formal request of the board to do is to rescind. They've accepted the judgment. I'm going to ask them to rescind the punishment, to reinstate me immediately, and to commence the whistleblower investigation that Darren Stridiron attempted to do by policy last September, and that's obviously something we needed to discuss because it's very important, and it shows the corruption from the top through to the lawyer, through to the board members, actually. So I'm going to ask that take place. I need somebody to take up my cause outside of, friends that call and say, boy, that, tough break. That's not helping me. I need somebody in an official capacity to take up and right this wrong, because this is wrong. I've been railroaded. It's not conspiracy theory or excuse making or, I got a bad shake. We've got the evidence. We got the receipts of how I was denied. And somebody needs to take up my cause, either internally amongst this new board, externally. I'm asking, I've sent out today a request of David Hoovler to commence an investigation into the conspiracy. And I feel weird saying that. I'm not a conspiracy theory, but a conspiracy is a group of people working together to deny someone or to do something unlawful. And I truly believe that happened. Somebody needs to take up my cause, because this is wrong. And it can't just be accepted because it's Newburgh. I've worked, and especially over the last 8 years, but my whole time in Newburgh, I have worked to make the people, the kids that go to school here, the people that live here, not to say, oh, Jesus, Newburgh, no, it's not acceptable. Can't be accepted by the people that work here. It cannot be accepted by people in authority, by the state education department, that they get away with a lot based on, it's Newburgh. What message is that sending to these children? They're supposed to be proud of Newburgh. They're supposed to be proud of being from Newburgh. Yet, Newburgh's allowed to get away with this level of corruption that I have dealt with. Yes, corruption. It's unacceptable.
Now, just for the folks who aren't aware, you've mentioned the name Darren Stridiron several times. He's the former school board president, who resigned several months ago, along with other members.
That's correct.
Because they didn't like the way things were going. When you talk about corruption, specifically, what type of corruption are you looking at?
As it pertains to me, I can walk you through the entire thing that happened back in September of last year. Darren is school board president. We have a board policy, and I'll look it up so I have it and can say it and can repeat it. It's Board Policy 9645 gives the board president sole authority to make such a determination as to whether somebody could be being targeted for being a whistleblower. The policy does not say that Darren can, take a wand and decree that I'm a whistleblower and everything stops. That's not what it is. Darren or the school board president, whoever the new school board president will be on Tuesday, can declare that they believe that someone is suffering retaliation, for lack of a better term, for being a whistleblower. That's in the policy. He doesn't have to get board approval. He certainly doesn't have to get approval from any of the administrators. Darren worked for about a week when he recognized what was going on. This was before my 3028 charges were voted on by the board. He worked for a week going back and forth with David Shaw
David Shaw is
the district's the Board of Education, not district. He's the Board of Education lawyer. Okay. He is there solely to act as the legal representation of the Board of Education. He's not there for the superintendent. He's not there to advise anyone besides the Board of Education. He's been there for a long time, and I think everybody listening to this and following this needs to start asking some questions about that relationship. Darren worked for, as I say, about a week. We've got all the emails because of them trying to get rid of Darren. He has everything that he sent to New York State. I foiled all of it. I sent in, this is not something that he handed me in a dark alley, in the dark of night. This is stuff that because they tried to throw him off the board, he sent in responses to their attempts that went to the state education department. I foiled them. So I have every email that went back and forth between Mr. Shaw and Darren, between Darren and the superintendent and the entire Board of Ed, because they receive everything. Darren worked for, like I said, about a week, going back and forth, where David was advising him how you draw up this petition to get me declared a whistleblower. Now, what happens when he makes that request is, again, he doesn't need board approval. He certainly doesn't need the approval of the superintendent or anyone else. I'm declared off limits, and an investigation must commence within 30 days of that request. Again, doesn't give Darren Stridiron or anybody else special powers to make me a whistleblower. It just means that they want an investigation done. They have questions. They don't believe something. They believe something is untoward. Something's not right. Everybody knows that I testified. You've reported it 50 times. Everybody knows I testified. So Darren, being an intelligent person and also somebody who follows the rules, issued by policy that I be determined to be a whistleblower that could be suffering retaliation because of that. He got everything together. He sent it to David Shaw, and I'm going to open this up and read it because I want to make sure that I repeat exactly what was said. Darren asks for assistance. David Shaw gives it to them. He sends an email to the superintendent. I've consulted with our board attorney, David Shaw, regarding the extensive allegations set forth by district employee Richard Desiderio. Now, while they were going after me, I had been sending letters, one to Chris Baer, the special education director, one to Ed Forget, the deputy superintendent, about a student that was forced to urinate on herself because the teacher wouldn't let her go to the bathroom, to Chris Baer about issues that we had going with special ed kids not receiving their services. That was back in April or March. Ed Forget in May, before I got called down to Macklemore's office. And then back in February, I'd sent a letter to Margaret Gatos about one of my former basketball players who applied for a job that she got denied, even though she had certification and the person that they hired didn't. These were very important emails. I don't send emails because a kid has a runny nose. I know I'm going to suffer when I send an email. There's going to be brushback. I'm going to have to deal with it in some way. But when it gets to that level, I can't not speak up.
Now, who's Margaret Gatos?
The internal investigator who's investigated my hostile work environment charges and that type of thing. So
what happened now as far as the whistleblower investigation?
There was no investigation. It was shut down. And I'm going to read the exact email, point out the lies in it. First of all, again, the superintendent has absolutely no say. You don't... The person that's committing the infraction, you're not going to ask them for their advice on whether or not they're damaging someone. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm going to read exactly what she wrote back to him. She has no say in the matter, but inserted herself. That's insubordination. The board should have brought charges against her for insubordination. Dear Mr. Stridiron, in review of the attached policy, I am advising that there has not been an adverse employment action taken against Mr. Desiderio that would activate the process for a review of alleged retaliation of a whistleblower. She has no say in the matter. She doesn't get to deem it appropriate or not. Okay? She just dismisses it out of hand. Mr. Desiderio is subject to potential 3028 charges based upon his specific alleged misconduct on or about May 5th, 2023, regarding his interaction with a female kindergarten student and other previous actions of similar nature. As you know, the board members and I are in receipt of several letters written and sent by Mr. Desiderio with dates of February 11th, 2023, March 26th, 2023, and May 7th, 2023, 2 days after the incident, which was of prime concern to me in bringing charges to the board. What do those letters have to do with charges? They were very serious letters. I've put them up. I'm not hiding them. One's about a kid who the teacher would not let go to the bathroom, who urinated on herself, and nothing was done. The kid used to get kicked out of class every other day. The second one was about special ed kids not receiving their, by law, services that they were entitled to. That was the second. And the third letter was about one of my former students who was denied a job even though she had certification and the person they hired didn't. So what do those letters, how are you, would you, the letters have not, is she inferring that I wrote the letters to get myself out of trouble? Well, I didn't know about the past charges in April. I didn't know about the past charges when I wrote any of the letters. Even the third letter was written before they even asked me about anything in May. So what do the letters, that's your job. You have no say in the matter, but you've inserted yourself and you're using letters that I wrote that you never dealt with. She never dealt with any of them. So
the whistleblower issue.
Yes.
Is it still hanging out there?
No.
No.
It's right now it's done. She then says, which is a lie, I'll tell you, should the Board of Education members vote probable cause to convene 3028 charges against Mr. Desiderio in an upcoming meeting, he will be able to assert a whistleblower defense in those proceedings. That's a lie. Because now I've gone through the proceedings. That's a lie. You cannot go in there and you claim you're a whistleblower. We mentioned it as an add-on at the end, and she said it doesn't matter. So that was a lie. So not only did she insert herself, that's insubordination.
And she being the superintendent.
The superintendent, Jacqueline Manning Campbell.
Right.
Okay. Not only does she have no say in the matter, should have been brought up on charges for insubordination for just doing that. The reason she gave is a lie. She lied to the board. But not only that, okay, after that, and I want to read it exactly how it's written. So bear with me. Mr. Shaw, who had been working with Mr. Stridiron the entire time, then comes back after Miss Manning Campbell's email, and I want to read exactly what he said. He changed his tune to all, to the entire Board of Ed. I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Stridiron on Friday and with the superintendent yesterday. Once he has a conversation with the superintendent, he's not serving the board anymore because the superintendent has no say in the matter. So he's given just cause of why he should be removed immediately. Regarding the matters raised by Mr. Desiderio, considered by Mr. Stridiron to be evidence of whistleblowing, in my opinion, as indicated in the superintendent's email below, who has no say in the matter, if the board finds probable cause to convene disciplinary proceedings against Mr. Desiderio, he will be able to assert a whistleblower defense, and the state-appointed hearing officer can consider the same in adjudicating the matter. No, I can't. And guess who represented the district in my 3028 hearings? David Shaw. The conflict of interest couldn't be any clearer. So he lied. He lied. First of all, he abdicated his responsibilities by saying I spoke to the superintendent. She has no say in the matter. Then he lies and says I can use a defense, and then he's the lawyer that represents the district in the 3020A hearings. Are you kidding me? And you wonder why I'm upset the way I am, the way I feel the way I do? Because I've been dealing with this type of stuff for 8 years. The difference now is I've got all the evidence. I have all the receipts of their malfeasance and their corruption.
Mr. D, let me just say that any of the people that you've brought up, if they want to respond to any of your allegations, they're more than welcome to contact us.
Go ahead.
And we'll be glad to discuss it and give them equal time on that, just to let the public know that we're offering that to them.
Let me follow up on that, Hank. I posted all of this to my personal Facebook page. You can find me at Richard Desiderio. It's everything I just said to you has been posted publicly. I haven't heard one word from them. If I'm lying, why haven't they contacted me and said you need to take that down immediately? They haven't. Okay. So we've discussed Manning Campbell, we've discussed Shaw. Now let's discuss the board members that are involved in this, whatever's going on last night and going to happen again on Sunday. They were all aware of everything that went on. Okay, I'm talking about, so Stridiron, Deb Boulay, Ryan Lamar, and Renee Green were aware of what was going on. But the other 5 board members were aware of what's going on. Philip Howard, Mark Levenstein, John DeRay, who's now the president, Ray Bergarelli, and Letitia McDaniel-Politi were all aware of everything I just said to you. They voted to go forward with the charges. Didn't ask to see the video, but that's neither here nor there. Voted to go forward knowing everything I just sent to you and how my rights were denied, how policy was thrown out the window, and they then, after they denied me due process, went after Darren Stridiron to have him thrown off the board. You wonder why the guy ended up resigning in February along with the other 3? Not only do they not hold the district, the board is the superintendent's boss. They're there to make sure that the superintendent and her people in her cabinet do their job and don't pull stunts like this, corruption like this. So those 5 vote to go forward with charges, don't hold her accountable, and then they go after Stridiron to get him thrown off the board. It's Newburgh. It's Newburgh. No. It's not acceptable. That's what happens at Newburgh. Not anymore. It's a new day. It's a new time. This is unacceptable. This level of corruption and fraud is unacceptable in any decent society. And Newburgh is decent. The people that live there are the salt of the earth. I love the kids, and I love all the parents. I had the parent of the child. And you've spoken to her, Anisha Davidson, came and testified at my hearing. The thing you learn about hearings is the first bit of advice I got back in 2017 from a lawyer was that a 3020A hearing is a kangaroo court. You don't want to get involved with it. It's the best advice I ever got because he couldn't be more right. Because what happens is the hearing officer doesn't care about how information ended up in front of her. So it gives Newburgh or any other school district license to just do whatever they want.
So do you regret going that route?
I had no choice.
Okay.
I had no choice. I either go the route or resign. I'm not resign. I wouldn't resign. I had no choice. But I now know what a ridiculous, unfair system it is. Again, the hearing officer judges me and the district on the same level. She doesn't. Robert Glowacki committed perjury during the hearing. He was asked if he told Anisha there was video related to her child's charge, and he said no twice, 3 times. We have an email where he sent to Anisha that says we need your approval to use video of your daughter in. So he lied. The hearing officer does not care. Mr. Glowacki also they had to get parental consent to use video of kids, so they're now backtracking because, again, this video is 2 and 3 years old. Glowacki calls a parent, and from what I was told by the man's wife and by the man's wife's sister, who I'm also friends with, that he went to the guy's job and basically harangued him and threatened him that he could possibly lose custody of his kids if he didn't give this approval. The man can't read. He's illiterate. I'm not saying that to pass judgment, but he had to have somebody read it to him. He was embarrassed, but he was fearing losing custody of his kids. So he finally didn't want to, but gave consent. Well, guess what? Glowacki was talking to the wrong parent. How do I know that? Because the day in question was our field day that we have once a year, and I have pictures of every kid that were posted to our Horizons Google folder. So I know what each kid was wearing. So when I watched the video, I know that he identified the wrong kid, yet he harangued him. The hearing officer doesn't care about that. She doesn't care that Glowacki wrote that he had a meeting with me on September 24th, I think it was, of 2021, when I wasn't in school. So we couldn't have had a meeting. She just accepts that he wrote these directives and gave them to me, when I know some of them he did not give to me. She accepts that they had this information since 2021 and 2022 and never spoke to me about it. I never got any due process. I never sat down with anyone about any of these charges directly, even in May of 2023, where they said, you did this. They never offered me any kind of training. So if you think you have questions, offer them professional development. My numbers, I'm a great teacher. You don't just throw somebody away unless there's an alternative reason.
Now, have you gotten throughout this whole multi-year situation support from the Newburgh Teachers Association?
No. Just only what they have to do.
Okay.
No teachers. I learned through the hearing process because I got my permanent file. I'll have another thing I need to speak to about that. But I learned all of the teachers that filed reports on me to the principal Glowacki. I'll tell you, that hurt more than anything else, Hank. That because I wasn't aware. My co-teacher in 2019 school year, her first year in the district, by the end of September, she's writing complaints to the principal. Oh, I saw a picture on his computer of 2 of the girls, and I don't know. It just looks inappropriate. The way 2 little girls that every kid in the school loved me. I'm a rock star in the building and had been every year. You could say that about anybody. Why? Because they're girls? So she was looking to sabotage me less than a month after she started. And then she filed another thing where another difference between a hearing and a trial by jury or trial by judge. This woman says that reports to Glowacki, I punched a kid in the stomach. December of 2018. December 5th, to be exact. December 6th, I get to school and I'm walked out of the building Mike McLemore's there. The union president is there. I'm walked out for child abuse. Okay? Okay. I walk out. I don't say anything. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, I get a call from Mike McLemore's secretary.
Now, he is the Human Resources Director for the school district.
Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Okay. Correct. I get a call from his secretary literally at 4 o'clock that afternoon. Mr. McLemore looked into it. It's fine. I'll go back to work tomorrow. Literally. I really did not understand. I didn't understand everything that went on. Okay? What I've come to know now over this process, because again I got my permanent file, is that Glowacki wrote up a suspicion of child abuse form that I punched a kid in the stomach based on the teacher's say so. But what I also was in that permanent file was the kid in question's written statement. Mr. Desiderio accidentally hit me while we were doing math. He not only wrote it once, he wrote it twice on the form. He puts an exclamation point. I'm going to get choked up as I say that, because they abuse these kids by using them in situations like that. But the kid wrote it twice. So why did Glowacki write the child abuse form? Why would you do that? Why would you have me walked out of the building if the kid says that? He accidentally, and I don't even, as God is my witness, I don't remember anything that happened. Maybe the kid had a stomach ache. Or maybe I got up, the kids used to swarm me at school. So maybe I got up to go to the bathroom or something and I hit him. I don't even remember what they were talking about, but the kid wrote. So during the hearing, we bring it up and Glowacki says, oh, well, I didn't file that. Well, if you're a judge, my lawyer should have done this. Or the hearing officer, you say, well, why is it still in his permanent file then, if you didn't file it? How am I supposed to trust them? The hearing officer says, oh, he said he didn't file it. Are you kidding me? He commits perjury. That happens. But she takes verbatim everything he's said and done since 2018. You have no questions about this man's fitness or moral character based on everything I just said. You have no questions? You just dismiss everything out of hand? So I take issue with the hearing officer, but the truth is the forum is completely corrupted. These hearing officers have to be chosen by both the district and the union. So if she rules, or he or whoever rules too much on one side, the other side's not going to choose them. It's a business. So if I have no idea if this happened. I'm giving a scenario. I show up, and my particular hearing officer has ruled on the side of the union the last 3 times. You think that's not in their head? That's what I have to walk into.
Let's go back to the attendance issue back in the late 2017.
2017 through 2019, yep.
The district attorney's office wrote a voluminous report.
100 pages.
On it. And the bottom line was he handed it off and said, well, the state ed department should look into it and determine if there's anything that should be done.
There were 13 or so people that could have been arrested. Some of them were low-level people. I don't mean they're low. I mean, I'm not talking about necessarily administrators, but secretaries and different people that broke the law. Clearly broke the law, should have been prosecuted. My father was a detective. My grandfather worked at Sing Sing prison. What you learn is you get the low-level people to spill the beans on the people above them that gave them the direction, right?
So, but the state ed department never did anything.
Nothing.
And
Nothing.
And I presume that going forward these last number of years, you've made them aware of everything that's going on, and
Everything.
and they haven't done anything.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Spoke to me in April of 2023 about the special ed. That was as far as I got. Never heard another word about it. Nothing. But they spoke to me, so that was they knew not to blow me off. Nothing. I filed complaints with them up until present day. Nothing. Hands off. They don't do anything.
And
David Hoover investigated the district again in after Padilla got a nearly $1 million payout. He was made aware of the fact that we hired teachers without certification, and that's against the law in New York State. Somebody should have been arrested. I don't know who, Macklemore, somebody in, that reports to him. I don't know who. Macklemore must have signed off on it. Padilla signed off on it. It's against the law. I don't know if it's a felony. I don't know what it is, but it's against the law. You can't hire someone without certification. It was handed to him, and he did absolutely nothing.
So as we conclude this discussion, right now you don't know your status with the school district.
I assume I'm terminated. It was up to the board. Now, let me say this. On Tuesday of this week, I sent an email to the board letting them know everything that went on with the whistleblower with Darren Stridarn, and the fact that the superintendent committed insubordination, that David Shaw did not do his job, lied, and told them exactly also that they did not have to act on anything from the state until July 5th, so it could wait till July 2nd when the new board was sat. They were made aware of that. This present board that will be the board up until Sunday night at midnight, I guess, made them aware of that. So if they voted last night to terminate me, they did it with that prior knowledge.
So the new board coming in conceivably could rehire you.
Of course.
Are you encouraged that they will do that?
Yes, I am. I think I know that at least one of them was moved by our first podcast, who reached out to me. I'd never spoken to them before, and said, I listened to your conversation with Hank Gross. It's one thing when you read about it, but when you hear somebody speak about it, so I know that they were inspired by that. I know another board member that directly said, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. I don't want favors. I don't want them saving me. I want them wronging a right. Everything that this district and everybody involved, David Shaw and the rest of the people do, is not just about me, Hank. It's about every kid that I've ever taught. It's about every kid I ever will teach. This is this toxicity doesn't just end when they go after me, okay? It affects the entire city. Anisha Davidson, who came and testified for me, who showed up and said, I don't believe any of this. They never contacted me. I worked with Mr. D the entire year. He was there whenever I needed him. My daughter adores him. Not only did the district ignore her, but the hearing officer could care less also. But how is she supposed to have faith that her daughter or any of her other kids are going to be educated or going to be treated decently when stuff like this goes on? I'm not here. I have no connection to Administration, I have no real affection or connection to teachers. My heart is going to stand up for me personally, but it's going to stand up for Anisha Davidson. For the I got an email. I'm friends with the little girl that I stuck up with, and we were not friends before. But the little girl that peed in her pants because the teacher wouldn't let her go to the bathroom. Her mother and I and her aunt and I are now friends. I got a message from her mom the other day. My kids adore you. They still adore you. I'm here for her. I'm here for myself. I'm here for them. It's Newburgh is no longer can be accepted. This new board, I believe they know that we need to switch gears. We're having just been told that we're having another special meeting on Sunday at 12:30. Another meeting. The last day of the old board. I don't know what it's about. I really don't care. But you can't just put up pictures on social media and think that gives people hope. It's way deeper than that.
Richard Desiderio, thank you very much. And please keep us abreast of your situation.
I will. Thank you so much,
You're
Hank.
welcome.
This is, I take my message right to the people, and you giving me a forum to do that, I can't express how appreciative I am for myself and, again, the kids and the parents. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.